over the last couple of days, we've had a little bit of exposure to capitalism and then the need for such things as socialism, and then which will eventually lead to communism. So what we're going to do today is get a brief introduction to what exactly these ideologies want and hope to accomplish, given our exposure with them in the urban game that you just played in the Industrial Revolution. So you should be using the guided notes that you've received and filling in this information on the guided notes as we go through it. So we're just going to start off with some brief facts about capitalism. And we've already talked about capitalism when we did the Enlightenment, because Adam Smith was one of our Enlightenment philosophers with his ideas on economics. So Adam Smith is really the father of capitalism, and capitalism focuses on something called laissez-faire principles. Laissez-faire principles means invisible hand, hands off. So what does that mean then exactly? Laissez-faire principles emphasizes a lack of government intervention and regulation on the economy. So the economy should be allowed to fix itself. It will go through ups, it'll go through downs, but at the end of the day, it does not need outside help to be fixed, to do well, to be prosperous. So this is in direct contrast with the previously held economic beliefs like mercantilism. So this says no government regulation, so laissez-faire principles. When it comes to property, there should be private ownership, which means that individuals should have the ability to own their own property. As part of capitalism, there's going to be competition, and that's going to be competition to try and create wealth. But that being said, there is an opportunity that you can create a lot of wealth. So the potential is there to become extremely wealthy because of capitalism. But that means that it's not always going to be fair and equal and even, and that some people, are going to be on the short end of the stick and not do as well. So you can do really well in capitalism because of competition, and there's the chance you can make a lot of money, but that being said, there's also a possibility that you won't do as well. So capitalism spurs the Industrial Revolution. I mentioned in our simulation in our game that the Industrial Revolution is started by capitalists, people who had capital or money, and they were investing in production and manufacturing and building factories and becoming very wealthy. As a result, though, we get the emergence of two new ideologies, and those would be socialism and communism. So socialism is a reaction to the Industrial Revolution. People look at the situations in factories and feel as though something needs to be done to help the workers. The workers are the ones who are the foundation of the Industrial Revolution. Without them, the manufacturing, the consumption of goods would not happen. So they should be taken care of. So the philosophy of socialism, from each according to his ability to each according to his contribution. So you contribute, you shall gain out of it. So in the Industrial Revolution, our workers are greatly contributing, but they're not receiving in capitalism. They're not getting their fair share. So this encourages rewarding those people for their efforts. So I've defined for you socialism. It is a system of social organization based on the holding of most property in common with ownership given to the workers. So there is going to be property. People tend to work together, hold together that property, and the ownership is given to the drivers of the economy, the drivers of production, and those would be the workers. So this rewards the workers as opposed to capitalism, where it doesn't necessarily fall in that camp. So if we look at the economic system, we see a redistribution to an extent of wealth, in that not all of it will fall into the hands of the factory owners, the big dogs. So we're going to see wealth falling more so into the hands of the laborers, the people responsible for the creation of that wealth. If you work more, you will be rewarded more. So the more effort you put into this, the more you're going to get out. And the means of production is controlled by the workers. So the workers have more of a say in what's happening, what's getting done, as opposed to the owners in capitalism. When it comes to private property, there should be both. The emphasis is more on public property, so that's being shared in commons with everyone, but there are going to be some instances where there is going to be private property, and that's still okay. Communism emerges in the mid 19th century after socialism, but it too is a response to the Industrial Revolution. But specifically, communism looks at the workers and sees that they are being exploited. They are being taken advantage of. So communism is meant to help and to really benefit the workers. They don't think socialism will work. It's flawed to an extent. It's utopian. It's, this ideal world, and that's not how things work. So communism is more, I guess, of a realistic view on how to help the workers. So this philosophy is a little bit different, from each according to his ability to each according to his needs. So it's not necessarily what you contribute, but it's what you need to survive, or what you need to live. So the definition is a system of social organization based on the holding of all property in common with actual ownership given to the state. So property is held together. There's a common property. There's no private. You don't own land by yourself. It's owned by the community. But the ownership, the responsibility is really given to the state. So the state's in control of everything. So it's not really the community, but more so the state. So there's an overarching control that's coming in. And you can see a picture right there of Karl Marx. He's one of the fathers of communism, along with Friedrich Engels. And we look at the economic system, we're talking about total redistribution of wealth. We want to make it as equal as possible. So everyone's receiving an equal amount. So no matter how hard you work or whatever you put in, everyone's getting the same thing. And the production of these goods is going to be controlled by the state. So the state's going to determine what it is you need or deserve. So we see a lot more control of the government, the state, in communism. When it comes to private property, there is none. There is no private property in communism because it's owned and controlled by the state. So socialism and communism emerge in the 19th century, and these are in direct reaction to the Industrial Revolution. And the Industrial Revolution is spurred by capitalism. So they all work, they're all related. There's a relationship between all three of these ideologies. And we're going to spend some more time later on in the week and next week looking at communism and what it really stands for.